I've seen a lot in my life, but that night, a broken bar that night, shook me to my very core. Have you ever witnessed a moment when the line between justice and evil blurs, when a single second changes everything? Maybe after hearing my story, you'll decide for yourself, did I do the right thing, or was I wrong? I was a police officer, or rather, I used to be. A female cop who believed in law, order, and doing the right thing, no matter the risk. That night, I was driving home after a long shift. I stopped at a small gas station on the edge of town to refuel. It was around 11:30 at night. The air was cold, the streets silent, and the fluorescent lights above me flickered faintly. After paying for the gas, I decided to walk behind the station to use the restroom. That's when I felt it, that cold, crawling sensation that someone was watching me. I turned around, and before I could even react, 3 men stepped out from the shadows. Their clothes were torn, their eyes bloodshot, and the stench of alcohol hit me like a wall. One of them grinned, a crooked, malicious smile. "Where you headed all alone, officer?" he slurred. "Why don't you spend a little time with us?" I instinctively reached for my holster, but one of them lunged and slapped the gun from my hand. Another came up behind me and grabbed my arms. I yelled, "I'm a police officer. Back off." But they just laughed. One leaned close enough that I could smell the whiskey on his breath and whispered, "That badge won't save you tonight." I kicked and struggled, trying to break free, but they were too strong. I hit the ground, the gravel scraping my palms. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it echo in my ears. For a split second, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is how my story ends. And then, out of nowhere, I heard it, a deep, thunderous rumble that grew louder and louder. The ground seemed to tremble beneath me. I looked up and saw headlights slicing through the fog. Dozens of motorcycles rolled in from the highway, roaring like a storm. Black leather jackets, chrome shining under the streetlights, and bold letters across their backs that read "Hell's Angels." I had heard stories about them, dangerous, rebellious, untamed. But also, men of honor in their own wild way. As they pulled into the station, one of them yelled, his voice booming, "Hey! What the hell's going on here?" The thugs froze. I was still on the ground, shaking, but when they saw the bikers, their confidence faded. A tall man with a gray beard and cold steel eyes got off his bike and glared at them. "You trying to mess with the cop?" he growled. "You got any idea who you're dealing with?" Before the thugs could respond, the Angels parked their bikes in a circle, blocking every escape route. The air filled with the smell of gasoline and tension. The gray-bearded biker walked straight toward the nearest thug and punched him so hard he dropped instantly. Another Angel swung a heavy chain, wrapping it around the second thug's arms. The third tried to run but was caught and thrown to the ground. Within seconds, all 3 were down, groaning, defeated, terrified. I pulled myself up, brushing dirt from my clothes, my breathing shaky. The gray-bearded biker turned to me, his face calm now. "You okay, officer?" he asked in a deep, gravelly voice. I nodded, still trying to find words. He handed me my holster, his expression unreadable. "We don't fight the law," he said quietly. "We stand with justice." Then he nodded toward the thugs, who were still writhing on the ground. "Your turn," he said. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and cuffed each one of them. The sound of the metal clicking shut echoed in the cold night air. The biker smiled faintly. "We'll be going now," he said, turning back to his motorcycle. "Remember, every man answers for his choices, sooner or later." I wanted to thank them properly, but before I could, they revved their engines and disappeared into the fog as quickly as they'd arrived. I stood there, motionless, watching their taillights fade into the mist. Moments later, the backup unit arrived. My fellow officers rushed to me. One of them asked, "Did you handle all this alone?" I smiled faintly and said, "Number. Angels helped me. And that's what haunts me even now." Who were they really? How did they know I was in trouble? Or maybe a broken bar. Some forces just show up when you need them the most. So tell me, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have trusted men the world calls dangerous? Or would you rely only on your badge? Comment below, because even now, I'm not sure I have the answer. A few days later, after the incident report was complete, we discovered those 3 thugs were wanted for multiple assaults and robberies. Without the Hells Angels' intervention, they might never have been caught. My captain asked me, "Who helped you out there?" I hesitated, then said, "Unexpected guardians." He chuckled, but the look in my eyes must have told him everything words couldn't. Weeks passed. One night, during patrol, I heard that same low rumble again, that unmistakable chorus of engines. I glanced across the road and saw the same group of bikers riding into the night. One of them turned his head slightly, raised a hand in salute beneath his helmet. I smiled and nodded back, feeling an unexpected warmth in my chest, a silent thank you that didn't need words. That night taught me something I'll never forget: bravery doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes, justice roars in on 2 wheels. If you believe the Hells Angels did the right thing, hit the like button. If you believe humanity is greater than law, subscribe for more stories like this. And let me know in the comments, were those men heroes, or outlaws? I'll be reading every single one. See you all in the next story.